So good. It's preparing the live stream. So I think we're good to go.
Good to go.
So we're going to be on
Alright.
Facebook?
We're going to be on Zoom. We're going to be on YouTube instead
All right.
because Facebook isn't allowing me in. So there we go.
All right, awesome. I will send you the feed. Have a good show.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Good luck. I know you're going to do great. You're going to be great.
Thanks.
Welcome to an enlightened hour of interactive talk. This is Guided Spirit Conversations with host Marla Goldberg. In this program, we spotlight guests from all over the globe who have helped others change their lives, and will provide you with the tips, tools, and techniques that you need to help make a difference in your own life. Now, here is Marla Goldberg.
Hello, everyone. How are you? I hope you've had a great week. I have missed you, and I'm glad you're back. So thank you for joining. Today, my guest is energetic healer Tom Swindell. Tom is from California, and I'm going to let Tom tell you a little bit about his modality and what he does. Hello, Tom. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks. Thanks for having me on your show.
My pleasure.
Basically, my specialty is I'm good at tracking energy in the unconscious. And so I work with people energetically, speaking and focusing on them. And through my capacity to kind of zero out and get out of the way and hold my focus, I can get into someone's system that will show me what's going on and able to help them clear things out of the way.
So do you have a client that comes with you, like if you divided up your demographic, is there something that more people come to you for than others? I mean, I'm sure you have a whole realm of issues that people come to you for, but is there one group of issues that really stand out that most people come to you for?
Yeah, most of the human normal stuff like relationships, work, but a lot of people that are just seeking for a clear sense of themselves. That's kind of what I specialize in. And we'll use the relationships, the work situation, family situation in order to do that.
So when you say a clearer sense of themselves, they want to learn more about why they have the blocks that they have, and then you clear the blocks, or is it an understanding of their characteristics and personality?
No, I deal directly with the unconscious or the energetic system. And basically it's what's behind the scenes of the words, of the experiences of what they think they are, who they think they are. And there's a lot of confusion, disorientation that causes the problems that we experience symbolically in our lives, whether it be a relationship, a job, or any kind of physical issue. And so we work on the fundamental level.
Oh, okay. And so, sorry about that. My mascot is here with me in my office today, and he's doing his job. So excuse the barking, everyone. So I'm sorry. So Tom, tell me, when you were young, were you intuitively guided? Were you an intuitive? Did you know things before they were going to happen? Did you pick up things empathically? How was your youth?
Mostly I was extremely sensitive, and I could feel what people were feeling behind their actions or words, what was really going on. And also I would also have a lot of energetic kind of spiritual experiences as well that I didn't know how to interpret at the time, but they would just spontaneously happen. And the combination of those two things left me spending a lot of time by myself.
I was going to ask how it affected your childhood, because I would venture to guess that it either goes one of two ways, that people, your friends go, this is cool, and you share it with your friends and you go, this is cool, and then you end up helping them throughout school years, or you get introspective or stay more introverted because you're not quite sure what it is you're dealing with and how it is presented to the world at your age, in your world at that time.
Yeah, up until my late teens, it was a pretty closeted situation for me. I didn't talk about it with anybody. I was just my own personal experiences. And
What about your family?
no, I never talked to them about it. I didn't
Inter-
know, I didn't have the context or the content to explore it verbally with anyone. I didn't even really understand it myself at the time.
And I'm going to guess that your parents were not, they didn't realize anything was going on with you, or did they? And you just didn't know how to explain it?
Because of my sensitivities, I was awkward because I was getting bombarded by so much information all the time that it would make me feel unstable a lot. And,
Like walking on sand?
and I'd get overwhelmed a lot. And so I was kind of weird, kind of torquey, kind of like no one really knew what was going on with me. Why is he like that? Nobody knew.
And so your coming out period was in your early 20s, in your 30s?
Yeah, I was in my teens. Actually, in the teens, I noticed that when I was around somebody that was going through a big shift, whether it's emotional, mental, or any kind of shift, some part of me would just wake up. And all this information would come pouring into my space, I guess, my head. And then I would know what to tell them in order to support them. It felt like the most natural thing in the world for me.
So in school, when you were very introverted, would you go up to, if you knew somebody that you really didn't communicate with on a regular basis, or maybe somebody who might have intimidated, if you saw that they were having an issue, would you share information with them about what was going on with them, or guidance for them to how they can help themselves?
Sometimes, but not often. Usually it was when people would come to me for help. People would ask me questions and the information would just be there. That would be helpful and relevant for them.
That must have been great for those kids, because your fellow classmates, to be able to get help like that, because that's unusual.
Well, that didn't happen a lot in school. Again, school was a deeply introverted time for me. It was after school in my young adult life where that really started taking off.
So when did you start deciding that you needed to explore the spiritual path and healing? Like, what was the impetus?
Well, I was having all these spontaneous spiritual experiences and then also these energetic experiences where I would be laying there and my whole body energy would start surging through my whole body and I couldn't move. And it would terrify me because again, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was about. And then these times when kind of the veils would drop and I would experience the divinity of things. And that made more sense. I wasn't afraid of that. But the energetic surges that were pretty often, whether I was going through my day or laying in bed or whatever, was scary because I didn't have any control over it.
So how did you get an understanding of what you were experiencing?
I just decided that I needed to take the bull by the horns, so to speak, and go towards it all rather than just kind of running from it. And I began to turn inwardly and explore myself. Took lots of workshops, emotional release events, everything I could get my hands on, and started kind of making my way inward to see what the mechanics of or the workings were that were causing these experiences.
So if I was a client, what would I experience by having a session with you?
Well, basically we get on the phone mostly and I have my clients settle down so they're just relaxed and in a nice space. And then I'll hear these sounds or these tones, and as I make them, it leads me into their unconscious. It's like I follow the sound frequencies into their unconscious. And then I'll do a scan, and a lot of times they'll feel me inside them, moving around, looking at things. And then, and then as we run into a issue or a blockage, because basically, let me go back a little bit. I discovered that healing is a following process. It's like me not going in with what I know and trying to make things happen. I basically zero out completely, focus on the individual, and then the intelligence that is them, innately them, begins to show me what's what. And it will show me, go, focus here. It will take me to one spot, we'll focus on it, and then we'll clear it. And what that looks like is I'll have them place their hands or their attention in certain parts of their body. And then whatever I'm having them do, I'll be doing on myself, because at that point, we're pretty much merged. And so we're working in tandem, which I consider to be more of a turbocharge session, because my system is so open and used to moving energy, it helps them move energy super fast. And so as we're in this kind of energetic configuration of issue, blockage, emotion, whatever it is, or a belief system, I actually merge with it. So I go into the very center of the frequency of that issue and I become it. And becoming it, I'm aware of my client, I'm aware of myself, I'm aware of the issue. It creates a communication bridge. So we're all linked up. I'm kind of a bridge between the unconscious and the conscious mind. And as I'm holding that space, either sounds or tones will come in to my system. Again, I'm following. I don't have a repertoire of things I actually just go do. Or we'll use intentional forgiveness. And I'll walk them through forgiving the source of the energy. And as that's happening, whether it's tones or harmonies or forgiveness, excuse me, I will watch the energy, because I am the energy. And I watch it just dissipate and disappear. And usually when that happens, the client will feel that energy actually release in their unconscious. Or there'll be a big surge of new energy flowing into where that blockage was, that's now allowing energy to flow more freely. And it's very rare that they don't feel that happening on the spot.
That sounds amazing. It sounds like an amazing experience. And can you like sort of like jump in and just do something randomly, or do you have to have like a whole preset of things, you have to do to set up before an appointment?
No, in fact, I don't ever think about the session before it's going to happen. I don't want to know anything about what's going to happen. And once we sit down, it's just a frame of mind, state of mind. Once I sit down to do a session, I'm in a different state of mind, and it's pure focus. And so there's no ritual that I go through except zeroing myself out, so I don't have any ideas of my own coming into it.
Okay. So okay. That's really interesting to find out. And so while you're going through this for the client, could you share what you might be feeling while this is going on? I know you said you hear tones and you feel the energy, but is there anything else that goes on?
Well, the funnest thing for me, and I've been doing this for 30 years, is not knowing what's going to happen is an amazing adventure into new experiences. I've gone places, frequencies, emotionally, mentally, energetically, different dimensions that I could have never imagined in my whole life, just by following the energy and not knowing what's going to happen next. And so for me, it's a lot of fun. It's usually a blast. And even though we're going into the core issues very fast, it's not like talk therapy. I usually don't let my clients talk all that much, because they already know what they know, and that hasn't helped them shift it. So they call me to go beyond what they know, and then I follow beyond what I know into the energy, and it shows us, it takes care of things very quickly and very directly.
Do you have some examples of experiences with clients where there has been like something really dramatic that happened on the positive? They came in one way, when you answered the phone, they were one way. And at the end of the session, there was a mass shift.
That happens every time.
But there's nothing that stands out like this was an amazing, session with a client, and this is, I don't need the intimate details, but it's how they started, and maybe they were resistant, and then you got them to open up, and voila.
Well, yeah, everyone's dealing in a different relevance of an issue. So it has to be very specific for them to be meaningful and for it to be personal and helpful. So usually everyone ends the session feeling very, I don't know if this, I'm not sure I understand the question, but let me know if this doesn't answer it.
Okay.
It's, they usually come to the session very jumbled up, or there's issues, blockages, things are just jammed up. By the time we're done, they're quiet, they're peaceful, they're very luminous usually by the time we're done, because their own core light has been released and they're basking in that mostly is what happens at the end. And that is part of the healing.
So maybe I should rephrase.
Okay.
The client comes back to you and says, "Oh my God, this is where I was before and after." Like, let's say a day, 2 days, a week after your session, and they come back and they say, "Tom, oh my God, the most amazing shift happened, or the most amazing experience happened that I would have been blocked from otherwise." Something that
Yeah,
really majorly shifted in their, changed in their life due to the work with you.
yeah. I mean, you're looking for a specific
Yeah, I'm looking
example?
for stories.
Okay.
Yes, I'm looking for
Because it's across
stories.
the board. Okay.
I'm looking for like somebody who stands out and there you go, wow, that was amazing. Or I'm so happy because there was such a major shift transition.
Well, I have two that would be interesting to share. One is one of my favorites to share because it was very spontaneous. It was actually a friend of one of my clients watching her newborn baby in the other room. And the baby couldn't settle down. And so I told her to bring her friend in, would smooth her energy out so the baby can relax and we can get to work. Well, when the woman got on this was when I was working physically with people. And the woman got on the table and I just did a quick scan and I noticed she had some issues in the breast area. And so I asked her about it and she said, yeah, she had been having this issues there for years and nothing was helping. She had seen every doctor, she had tried everything, nothing was fixing it. So I went in and just focused in on the energetics of it. And I had her and spontaneously said, well, when did this start? So many years ago, what was happening during that time? And she said that her husband had left her for her best friend. And bing, the energy that was. And so I did a lot of muscle testing back then. So we tested it and sure enough, that was causing her to still go weak. So we did the forgiveness work and cleared the trauma and the shock and the pain of all the thing that was in her unconscious. We cleaned it up, cleared it out. And then she became strong again through muscle testing. And then she went in the waiting room and baby was fine. But she came back a couple weeks later, the issues with the breast had completely disappeared and had been chronic for years. Now that was interesting, but the best part of it is her life exploded after that. It took off. She was in a holding pattern of suffering and just nothing was happening for her. But after that, she came back about 2 or 3 more times and her life just took off. And that issue was completely gone. So another example more recently.
And I have to just tell you, that's a
Okay.
great story, Tom.
Okay.
That is a great story. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's what I found with the healing. If you can get to the core issue or if you can get to the linchpin, it's super easy. It doesn't, there's not a lot of pushing, pulling, there's not scratching the head, figuring out. It's truly being open and just staring at it and letting it tell me like what's what. But when you find that core issue, everything unravels. The building blocks just kind of change on their own. Another story is when I had a client that had whose mom had a lot of issues, and she had issues with her mom, and we were working on her, and she said, "Hey, can you like help my mom out? 'Cause she had some serious problems. She was having entities talking to her and stuff like that." And drinking issues and all kinds of having conversations that were pretty dark. So I went and spontaneously, we were done with the session, but I just focused on her mom and all this harmonic singing came out of the energy. And so I just started singing these frequencies. And when the singing itself is not really a song, they're frequencies of energy. And when I'm focused in a person, or focused in a part of their mind or their body or whatever, and I hear these melodies and I sing them while I'm inside them, the frequencies of the sounds shift the energy. And I found that the unconscious is actually more accustomed to dealing with tonalities and frequencies more than words and ideas. It's a more of a familiar language, but it's more abstract to us. But anyway, so I did that and it felt complete. And then I heard back later that her mom had completely cleared that whole thing. We never talked to the mom. The mom wasn't consciously aware of what was going on. She just noticed her mom was in a state of well-being and wasn't having the same chronic problems that she was having.
That's fascinating. So would you say for people with addiction that your type of healing has the ability to help them breaking the, the core issue for that triggers the addictions?
That's a good question, because healing, I don't have like something that just heals everything. Because sometimes our issues are there, we put them there in order to explore them with ourselves. So healing might not necessarily even mean surviving. I mean, healing could be death, it could be the issue that we're dealing with and working through it. The work that I do doesn't remove the person's highest good blueprint intention for being here. It just helps them move through it, I guess I should say. So I can't just kind of clear addiction on the spot unless it was their time and they wanted to and they were ready and they were done with that lesson. Then the addiction could be cleared quickly.
Well, wouldn't you think if somebody came to you and said, I have a problem with drugs or I have a problem with drinking, can you help me with that? And you say, sure, let me try it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
they're ready,
totally.
that they're coming to you saying, well, I really want to stop this, but I need help.
Yeah, and I would approach that the same way I'd approach anything, whether it was a relationship, job issue, physical element, or whatever. We would just together just dive into the center of it and go towards it and see what was causing it. And then clear. I call it sweep as you go. We just see something, we clear it, see something, clear it until we get to the bottom of it.
So your sessions run an hour, hour and a half, more, longer?
No. They typically they're about an hour. Sometimes they can go an hour and a half.
And during on an average, I'm not asking for anything extraordinary, but on an average, how many issues can get cleared? Could it be one? Is it one? Is it seven? Could it be more? Could it be, is it, you only have time for X amount?
Yeah, no. I'd like to do full out, get as much work as we can get done at any given session. We go full blast. We work fast and furious, and then till this body, the energetic body, just says that's it, or the unconscious said that's it, and then we stop. So it doesn't matter how many. It just depends on how ready they are to move them.
I'm so tired. You've gotten rid of so many issues.
Sometimes people take a nap afterwards. That happens.
That's so funny.
No.
So I'm reading, you have a thing for me that says something about the dynamics of healing. What are the dynamics of healing in your world?
Dynamics of healing are simply removing distortions and interferences out of the mind, because the mind itself is the one holding on to the problems. And when you clear it on that level, then everything can heal on its own. In our natural state, we're already healed. There's nothing to fix. It's the distortions of the conscious mind
Interesting.
that it create the problems to begin with. That's a big question, actually, and it looks like we're going to break. So
we're going to go take a break. So we'll be right back. We'll pick this up on the other side. Stick with us and stay with me and Tom Swindell. See you on the other side. Thank you.
All right, good job. We're all clear.
That's so funny. I told you to put on your chat. I forgot to put mine on, and I'm looking at the clock going. I'm like, what? Where's the break? Where's the break?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, because we're basically almost at the half hour mark, so we might just want to just do the one break here. So I'll make this a little bit longer, and then we'll just do the one break.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt. Sorry about that.
So what do we do at the break again?
We talk.
Okay.
We talk.
That was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I was having,
Really?
yeah, interesting.
I'm sorry. I was trying to make it easy and breezy, like we were
Oh,
talking
it's not
before the
you.
show.
Not you. I'm just used to working inwardly, not having focus outwardly when I'm doing any of this. So.
Got it. So what I
It's
want to
understandable.
try and do is bring out from you as much information, stories, things that will, people go, oh yeah, I want to reach out to him. I want to try him. So
Mhm.
that's, the mission. So my mission here is twofold. It's to spotlight the healer or the guest, what they do, how they do it, how it benefits, etc. And then I want to also give the listeners some tips, tools, techniques through the conversation of things that they can do for themselves that are easily incorporated into their daily life to help shift. So for example, you might say at the end, I want you to do this exercise for, 5 days or whatever it might be,
Mhm.
just to help
Yeah.
this part. Maybe it's a breathing meditation, like some people say, do some fire breath for 5 minutes, with that. I don't want to do it because I don't want things going flying, but you know what I'm
No,
trying
I
to
do
say.
have I have something called a core clearing breath. It just takes a moment, and it's super fast and easy to clear your field.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're pretty introverted in your life, aren't you?
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of 90% of the time, I'm by myself, just because of all this, and but then I'm on the phone a lot, obviously.
Of
Working
course.
with people.
But there's a difference between the energy of, somebody being in the same space with you than
Yeah.
even over the phone.
Yeah, and I've taught classes, and I saw people in person, and so I can do that. But for especially this last year, has been deeply turned inward. So most of it right now, I'm focusing mostly on my own inner work, and that requires a lot of solitude.
Do you do the same thing are you able to go into yourself to heal yourself the same way you're able to go into your clients to heal them? See, again,
It's,
this would be
it's
great on
yeah,
this
it's
is
different. It's different. Yeah, I have to, but requires the same openness and focusedness and willingness with the right intention. And I just turn around and I just and then stare and focus and address what's there. And
that's
then I
not an
open
easy
to
thing
it.
to do.
I've been doing it my whole life though. So for me, it's just a natural thing.
Okay. Because a lot of times people look at themselves, and as much as a lot of times people, we're humans, right? So we still, even to our own selves, we don't want those sides coming out a lot of times. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? That we're
Yeah.
even when we're trying to heal ourselves, that sometimes there might be moments where you just can't be totally open in this area. But I think your modality is a little bit different.
Well,
Uh,
I have to be like wide open in order to be able to be available to do the work.
Got it. Are you there, Matt?
Yep, sorry to interrupt, but we are just about to come back.
Perfect. Thanks.
Hold on.
We want to talk like that.
Okay. Sorry.
You're fine.
Listening
You're
to Guided
absolutely
Spirit
fine. You're doing great.
Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call in to the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for sticking around. And if you've just tuned in, I'm excited to share that Tom Swindell, who is an energetic healer, is my guest today. And if you're interested in learning more about Tom, you can find him at www.coreclearing.net, CORECLEARING.net. His phone number is 530-798-8446. Or if you'd prefer to email Tom and ask him any questions or explore what he does further, you can email him at tom@coreclearing.net. And before we get back into our conversation, it's charity shout out time. And we're going to talk about Tom's charity for a bit. It's A Course of Miracles Foundation for Inner Peace, or it's acim.org/donate. Tom, welcome back.
Thanks. Thank you.
So let's talk about A Course in Miracles Foundation for Inner Peace. Why do you support it? Why do you reach out? This is the one you want to support?
The Course of Miracles came in my view in my 20s, and I was aware of it and attracted to it, but I didn't really do anything with it till I was in my 30s. And then a friend of mine gave me the book, and I would read a little bit, and it was so profound that I was just I can only take little pieces of it at a time. But then it was in my 50s that I dove all the way into it. And because it basically mirrors a lot of my own direct spiritual experiences that I've had, to help me help clear the way, so they're not coming and going, so they'll just stay put, basically, for me. And it's one of the most clearest, practical, direct information books I've ever read. And I've read a lot of books. So right now, that's basically all I read.
Is A Course in Miracles? Well, that's one
Yeah.
big, thick book.
It is. It's heavy. It can be, but I don't even talk about it usually to most people, because it's just too much. It's too unambiguous, too direct.
Yeah, it is. And I've tried a number of times to delve into it, and I haven't gotten as deep as I'd like to. And it's not one of those books where you can have 3 other books going at one time. It's almost a single focus book, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's my only book these days because of it's just helpful for me. And it does use a lot of the, Christian terminology and the he and the him and the Trinity and all that. But it's really just I think, simplify it's not really a gender anything. It's more of a direct way of expressing something without having to get all mixed up in the gender issues. But yeah, it's powerful. It is amazing, and I love it. But like I said, I almost didn't even want to bring it onto the show because it's such a personal thing, and it's just usually overwhelming to most people.
Well, the Course in Miracles, it's just one of these things that when you're ready for it, that's when you'll be able to get through it.
Yeah.
Because it's a commitment, in my opinion.
Well, also, when I discovered I could track energy and the source of things, I focused on it one day many years ago, and I tracked the source of it. And it actually went all the way back to source and the Christ energy. And it made it through all the different bells of confusion and delusions and all kinds of crazy stuff before we get to here. And it made it through. And I was amazed. It was like a beam of light from source all the way to the physical dimension, with the information not getting scathed.
Wow,
And
that's
that
very
was
powerful.
amazing. And it mirrors that. Once you get into it, you see that. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is, so when I was in my 40s, I was getting bat mitzvah, and I had to read the Torah, being Jewish. And I remember reading some of the things, and I'm like, I'm not understanding. And somebody said it's all metaphysical, not metaphysical, metaphoric. It's humans who wrote down these stories, and these are the way they wrote it down. And it's like, oh, that's really interesting. And when you're talking about the Course in Miracles, it almost seems like it's not something, even though it was channeled and it was typed by man or woman, so to speak.
Sure.
It wasn't, like these people take these these phrases from the Bible, whether it be Jewish or otherwise, and then they are able to take it and make it mean what they want it to mean. They're able to manipulate it. With the Course in
Sure.
Miracles, I feel that there's no ability to manipulate what came through. I think that it's more of a, like you said, a direct bout of information. And the woman who was, I can't remember her name, I'm sorry to say, but who was doing the typing, obviously you're
Yeah,
getting
shorthand. Yeah.
thank you. And getting the channeling of it and typing it down, it was, it was straight, like automatic typing, where she got the information, just typed it out without thinking, judging, criticizing, changing.
Yeah, it's all direct. There's no one there that actually wrote the book. It's just the source of existence itself, basically, in my opinion, wrote the book. There's no personality, maybe you can call it Christ or Jesus or the Holy Spirit or whatever, but it's not really there's no one that wrote that. It's just direct information.
Right, but the
From
direct,
sources.
the information was channeled
Yeah,
to the doctor.
she shorthanded, automatic shorthand, wrote it down, and then her partner typed it out.
Oh, okay.
That's how that worked out. I'm not involved in the organization that much. I just love the book.
Okay.
But I like the
Well,
information, basically.
well, the information is good. And when you can get good, clear, concise information,
Yeah.
it gives you a good foundation, especially for spiritualists.
Yeah. You
to
don't have to
get,
filter through like someone's personality about their own agenda or whatever. It's just very direct.
right. And even though I think Marianne Williamson she was the first one who brought Course in Miracles into my world.
Mhm.
And so even though I admire her and respect her, I believe that as she's giving the information, it's still going through her human brain, and it gets sort of paraphrased in a way. It's not exact.
Yeah, but I think yeah.
Go ahead.
I
I was
haven't-
just going to say it's not as
mm.
exact as I think she might have thought it was, but she might have thought it was totally clear, but it's a human processing it and sharing it.
I haven't read any of her books, but I've heard so many people being able to actually be introduced to the Course in Miracles because of her, that she was able to kind of make it more relatable. And I think
Yes.
that was a huge service.
Like I said, admire her, respect her. I'm
Mhm.
just saying that when something is channeled, like if if you ever watch Hester Hicks, when she's getting straight
Right.
channeled, she's putting it right out. There's no space and time to personalize it, change it, or shift what's being said. It's just coming in and
Right.
out, or any channel. But when someone is writing and they're processing, the way they, like she's putting it in layman's term, or I hate to put it, dumbing it down a little bit to make it easier to read.
Watering it down maybe is a better.
Watering it.
Sorry,
Thank you.
but-
That's a much better way. Please, Marianne, forgive me for saying that. But yes, watering it down. But I don't even think it's water. It's just the way from her perspective, how she
Sure.
processed it. And but whatever she did, you're right. She helped people truly understand what the Course of Miracles was or is. Yeah, it's
I think
pretty
it's a
amazing.
huge help. Yeah, I think she did a great job. Even though I haven't read it, I've seen the results and the effects of it.
I love her books.
Yeah.
I think I've gotten through, I don't know, I have a bunch of hers in my closet, literally. And admire what she has done with, living the Course in Miracles. It's
Yeah.
pretty an amazing thing. So going back to you, we were talking about you have a core clearing breath that you're able to share with the listeners that
Yeah.
talk about the breath, how it works and why it's helpful, and then maybe an example of the exercise.
Well, you know how little kids have usually a meltdown every single day?
Yes.
Like Timmy stole my truck or whatever, or have some kind of issue and they have a good cry.
Okay.
Well, the crying is a wringing out of their energy field. They're so sensitive that there's so much stimuli hitting us every day, that they need to wring it out, and they spontaneously seek out an issue to get upset about, and crying is like taking a wet sponge and contracting it, and it all pushes all the water out. When you're done, it's clear. You're light again. Well, as adults, we don't allow ourselves that much opportunity to do that, but we are bombarded with tremendous amounts of information and stimuli. So as an empath, I had to learn how to navigate that, and I'm still learning. But I discovered this simple technique. It's on my website, but it's called core clearing breath. And it's basically taking a big breath in, and you're focusing everything in the very center of you, like there's a center tube of light in the very core of your being. And you're holding the breath and you're expanding that beam of light out, and it's clearing and cleansing everything else in your energy field, inside your body and around you several feet. And then on the exhale, you blow it out, you blow it out with your mouth. And it's a very fast technique for just a quick energetic clearing of debris. Because you'd be amazed, because I work with people all the time, the stuff in their energy field. We clean our house, we wash our dishes, we take showers, but there's an energetic level that could use a cleansing. Super fast, super easy, could be done anywhere.
I agree. So show us the breathing in and then show us the breathing out, just one in, one out, and tell us how many we need to do to clear their fields.
Yeah, it could be 1 to 3 times, but it's like breathing in, feeling the core, there's just nothing but the pure you. And as you're expanding that core energy out, it's cleansing and clearing everything that's not you. So all the debris, it's just out, out, out. And then you blow out any residue at the end, and then you just relax.
So
and
it's
one breath
through the
can do
mouth,
it.
correct?
Doesn't matter on the inhale. The exhale is
Okay.
through the mouth, but the inhale just, it's the focus of attention. You're focusing in your core, and you're letting the innocence and the purity of your own being expand and cleanse and clean everything else, all your chakras and whatever you want to call it, everything else that's there. And it really helps. I've done it with groups. When I taught a class on this work that I do many years ago, we had a day of talking about sexuality, and the whole class just went, and everyone got disassociated really fast. And so I had everyone do this. The first time I ever tried it in a group, and we all did one core breath clearing, and the whole room just cleared, and everyone came back present, open, and were able to proceed.
Yeah, that could be a touchy subject.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so,
Especially because a lot of times people do do whatever the fear is, but they have a fear of letting out who they truly are or what their preferences, their proclivities are. And so they hold it in. And then even if it just has to do with maybe you don't like sex, or maybe something's going on where it makes sex, intimacy difficult. And then, but so to be able to open that up, that's an amazing feat.
Yeah, I do a lot of work with people's sexuality. There's always a permission there, and we go in, and there's usually a lot of courting or enmeshment in that area that create a lot of havoc, especially if you're leaving a relationship and you become obsessively thinking about that person, or you can't stop thinking about them. Usually there's courting or enmeshment going on, especially in the sexual. When people say, oh, we could have sex and it won't change anything, is not true.
That's not true.
On an energetic level, so much is happening and merging and exchanging on so many levels that it changes everything. And so it's okay, but we do a lot of clearing on those levels.
That's interesting, because I've been to a lot of classes, and I mean, I've been trained in 24 different modalities, and
Wow.
very few conversations about sexuality has risen. So
Wow.
I think it's very brave of you to bring that out, because again, people have so many hidden secrets, or sometimes
Sure.
people just don't even know that they have issues around sexuality. Like they think, I'm a free spirit, and then all of a sudden, bing, something pops up.
Yeah, there's oh shoot, there was something I was going to say about that. For some reason, the work that I do, we get into the corest, deepest, darkest, most shameful, craziest, most wonderful, blissful, amazing places inside someone. And for some reason, even though we can be inside your core issues in like 5 minutes, and you might start bawling and crying, which happens a lot, which is just energy being released, no one ever feels invaded, or no one ever feels like they're been bombarded by anything. There's so much grace. For some reason, I don't know exactly why this is, except for this, the field itself is so loving and non-judgmental, because we're just dealing with the energy. Not dealing with my personality. And so we're like, and so we can get to these core issues really fast. And it's, a lot of clients have said it's like a year of therapy, you know, in an hour, because it's not talk therapy. We just get to the core and we clear. And, but no one feels invaded, I guess. There's not a sense of invasiveness. And we do a lot of deep sexual clearing.
Well, I would think that if you're going that deeply, you'd want to be, you know, there would be a point of sensitivity and, you know, acknowledging that people have many areas that they get triggered by. You know, what?
Yeah, they don't even need to tell me what they are, because I'll just stare. It will show itself, basically, you know, and I just stare at it and I go, you know, I always ask permission to go into the sexual realm. And they always say yes. And then it's like, once I'm in there, it's all right there. And we just clean and clear it out. And it's very liberating for everyone, you know, everyone involved.
That's really fascinating. So to make an appointment with you, do you have a long waiting list, or are you able to?
No, I like to get to people as quickly as possible. It's hard to say. For the 30 years I've been doing this work, I've done very little to no advertising or anything. It's all been word of mouth. And I really do rely on people's inspiration to find me and locate me and set up a session, rather than for any other reason. Because then it's been, I leave the work up to kind of the inspiration realms, you know, for it to unravel. And there'll be like a week where I won't have any sessions at all. And that's usually a time where things just need to do whatever they need to do. And then they'll be slammed with tons of sessions. And so I just trust it. So it's, I never know, but it's rare that I can't see someone fairly soon, because I know I like to be, when I have an issue, I don't want to wait a month, you know, before I can get it handled. I want to deal with it as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's hard to do, waiting for that long because
Yeah.
I mean, I know there are psychics that like are booked for 3 years, and it's
Wow.
almost like what's going on with you, you know, right now, and then you're having something 3 years down the road. It's like, you know, it's an entirely different picture of life in 3 years.
Yeah, I wouldn't even want to get involved in that. Yeah, I mean, again, it's a very surrendered work. Like I said, I follow the energy, I don't lead it. And so you know, when there's a flow of work to be done, I'm there. When there's not, I'm, you know, not doing it. So it's
Do you
whatever
clear yourself at the end of the day from all the energy from your clients, or what do you do for yourself after sessions so that you're not taking on others'
Yeah.
stuff?
It's rare that I take stuff on during a session. It's more like when I'm out in the world where I get snagged,
Inundated.
inundated with everything. But during a session, I might do pull my energy in, clear the energy out. But we're doing so much clearing, and the energetic frequency is so high, it doesn't really involve that weird enmeshment kind of thing. Whereas if I'm out listening to music or having a beer or whatever, and then it's like, then I'm like kind of get wrapped up, and I'll do the core clearing breath, or I'll have a good cry. A lot of times it's a kind of a purging process that I discovered. That
I think crying is very cathartic.
Crying is amazing. Can I say something about it? Do we have a moment for that?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do.
Crying is, I found myself, I did years and years of emotional release body work called Omni work. And then, but after that, I was doing lots of sessions, and I found myself just bawling my eyes out and going towards it, but couldn't bottom it out. So I saw another healer and asked him what it was. And he said, well, shamanic kind of purging. Some shamans will throw up or belch, and I cry. That was my modality. And so I began to look at it more closely, and I discovered like the art of crying. The art of crying is this. The emotions there, you don't want to repress them. Okay, that's a feeling. When you start repressing, you get bogged down like a heavy sponge, and then you just feel horrible.
Right.
So you don't suppress anything. You let out the sounds, you let out the tears, you're contracting, fluids are coming out everywhere, you're making sounds, you're crinkled up on the floor, whatever, or it doesn't matter, you're letting sounds out. But this is the most important piece. Usually a story of an incident will trigger the emotional body. And we think we're crying about what happened to me, who did what to me, or what didn't happen for me, or there's a disappointment or a loss. What I've discovered is you don't indulge that story and you stick with the sensation, frequencies of the feeling, and you allow it to emote through your system. That energy will leave you completely. When we indulge the story and we think that's the cause and the source of our pain is what Jimmy or Susie or whoever did to me or whatever, it recycles it back in. And you got the same emotions, you're going to have to feel again and again and again. So it's basically let go of the story, feel the feelings, express the feelings, whatever that needs to look like. And then, but let the story go. And it will leave. It will cleanse and clear and heal.
That's great. That's great advice. And I think it's true. I mean, if you can let the feelings dissipate, it's just very difficult. There are people out there who you'll do work with, and before even giving it time to assimilate, they get back into their stuff because they're so programmed for it. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And did you find people?
No, actually, because the level we're not dealing with like talk therapy. We're not just having discussions, explorations. We're actually deep in the unconscious where the actual building blocks of consciousness formulate and then get translated as a perceptual experience of our life. And the people in it, the incident circumstances are just symbols of the unconscious. And so because we're working at the very center, those issues should just be gone. I mean, it's not like they're not really there to go back into unless there's another level to work with them at. But it's not, that's why I don't let people, we don't get into a lot of talk therapy, because that level, things happen, but we're working at the very central place where consciousness develops, forms, projects, and expresses and experiences. So
That's a great way of putting it. It really
and
is.
it should stand on its own. Yeah.
I so agree. It's a fascinating modality. I definitely have interest in talking more about it with you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things about it, but my motto is whatever works. So if it's juggling apples and oranges, that gets it done, I'll do that. But apparently what I'm working with now works. And it's fun and it's effective.
This is good. Thank you so much, Tom, for being on the show. Everyone, we're talking to Tom Swindell, and he's an energetic healer. And if you want to get in touch with Tom, you can reach out to Tom at coreclearing.net. His number is 530-798-8446. And his website is coreclearing.net. So thank you, Tom, for sharing this hour with me. I appreciate it. I want to thank. It's been great. Thank you. And even our other conversations have been fun. So thank you for that. I want to thank Voice America and Teresa Scott Reed for getting the show up and running and doing all you do, your magic to get this show going and out to everyone. I want to thank you, the listeners, for being with me each week, because it really means a lot to me. And I'm so grateful for the fact that you take time out of your day, out of your life, to listen to the show. And so I say thank you so much with such full gratitude. I look forward to next week and our guest next week. So please stay tuned. And until then, I send you love, I send you blessings, and I send you gratitude. Bless you. Thank you.